welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm here with Juno Dawson, and we're going to do a 3, 2, 1. So first of all, exactly. And first of all, we've got 3 books.
Yes.
Do you want to start off with your first one?
Okay, so I'm going to go with, I think, what is my favourite novel maybe of all time ever. So you might know Margaret Atwood best for The Handmaid's Tale, but I actually, controversially, prefer it's the first part of a trilogy. It's called Oryx and Crake. It's followed by The Year of the Flood and Mad Adam. And it's like a post-apocalyptic kind of virus novel, but actually, in another controversial opinion, I would say this is a YA novel, a very strange YA novel. It tracks a very toxic friendship between 2 young men from their teenage years through to adulthood. One is called Snowman and one is called Crake. And it's about what happens when a young woman called Oryx kind of tears them apart, and it literally culminates with the end of the world. But it's incredibly strange. Like, if you've read Handmaid's Tale, you'll know that Margaret Atwood is a legend of world building. But the things she does in this book, I'm not going to say because I think we would be demonetized on streaming platforms, but there's some very strange science fiction in this book. And I love it. I think this is kind of like Margaret Atwood's blockbuster, basically.
Nice. I feel like, Margaret Atwood's like kind of a staple for the sort of unsettling, interesting, worlds, as you said.
Yeah, this one I think it's less, in a strange way, it's less dystopian, more kind of like environmental science fiction. It's a lot to do, you can tell she was clearly preoccupied with where is our food coming from, and I think she was writing it at the sort of the dawn of genetically modified food, and so there's a lot in there about how meat production will lead to our downfall. But it's brilliant. It's a brilliant novel. The whole trilogy is brilliant.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, let's move on to our next one.
Okay, so the next one is 2 new releases because I think it's really important to celebrate new releases. One is a debut. It's called Queen of Faces by Petra Lord. It is the beginning of, I believe, either a trilogy or a duology. I'll have to check. But the first book, I was lucky enough to read a really early proof. It's incredibly imaginative. It's like a high fantasy novel set in a world where the rich and powerful can trade bodies. They can buy themselves what they call new chassis, and you install your pith, like your soul, into a new chassis. And we follow this young girl who is trapped in a male chassis that's like rotting, and she accepts a very dangerous deal in order to secure herself the body that she really desires. But I mean, Petra is an incredible talent. I can't believe this is a debut. The world she has built is so imaginative. And Petra is a young trans writer, and so obviously I want to big up the dolls.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you.
And then my last one. This is a friend of mine, but I was really lucky enough. I did read this when we did her launch. It's called Almost Life by Kiran Millwood Hargrave. This is completely different. It's this kind of long, hot summer, languid story taking place over decades between 2 young women who meet in Paris in the 1970s, and they form this kind of torrid, passionate, but very sweet sort of love affair. But over the next 30 years, kind of life just takes them in these very different directions. And so, it's very, very sort of hypnotic and dreamy. Like, I would definitely, this is a book to take on holiday when you've got your Aperol spritz and just really kind of, it's so romantic, but so kind of melancholy and bittersweet as well. And Kiran's writing is always beautiful, so
amazing. I feel like we've got picks for every vibe.
I'll turn this around so you can see the spines. There you go. Something truly for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And now we're moving swiftly on to your music picks.
Okay. So these are just my current favourites. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I'm obsessed with KATSEYE. I just love the drama.
So much drama.
So much drama. But, Survival Show is obviously inspired by my love of girl groups. And as a writer, I've always been fascinated by sort of the dynamics of female friendship groups. And I think that girl groups, whether it's the Spice Girls or All Saints, Girls Aloud, who I'm wearing today, Little Mix or KATSEYE, they're like this really extreme microcosm because female friendship groups can be tricky. Like, my WhatsApp groups, there's a dynamic there. But I think when you take, in the case of KATSEYE, 6 very young women, they're still like teenagers, and put them in this extraordinary situation where they're under the most extraordinary pressure, it's interesting to see how those dynamics play out, plus all the politics of their record label as well. So it's, I have, like an insane person / detective, I have worked out a very detailed timeline of Manon's departure from KATSEYE. Like, sort of, where was she? What date did she actually leave? Kind of what was happening? What could be to blame? So yeah, like, I need like one of those pin boards with the red string.
Like the meme.
Like, I very much, would a sane person do this? Kind of. And so, but similarly, I also think it was Zane Lowe, the music journalist, who I think said it best when he said, "This is music for now." And I think that KATSEYE, they've been criticised for their music sounding so chaotic, and it's like kind of like this brain rot lyrics about kind of Tesla, gnarly fried chicken, kind of. But, if you have grown up as a very online person, I think the music really speaks to that. And I think their music is quite sly and a lot more clever than people give it credit for. I think they are trolling with a lot of their music. But I just think it doesn't sound like anything else. And I
mean,
think
people love them. I think they brought the biggest crowd ever to the Sahara stage at Coachella.
Well,
so it's proof.
I think a good half of those people were there to see if Manon was going to
was in the crowd,
jump out of a cake. She was.
Yeah.
She was in the crowd. But like, is Manon going to crawl out of a car boot? That was the theory in the new video. Is she going to get out of a car boot? She did not. Spoilers. But I think like Zane Lowe said, I think it's music for now.
Definitely.
Love. And then my other one is, so it's interesting, if KATSEYE is music for now, I think that Chappell Roan's album is music forever. And I think I chose this because I think it's a really rare example of a really timeless album. And I think we're not really in an album era now. I mean, a group like KATSEYE haven't even released a full album. Yeah. They've released EPs, although that is very common in K-pop. So I think to have an album where there isn't a single track on this album that I would skip, I think, Chappell is an artist who has really obviously thought about this work over a really long period of time and really developed it with thought. I think her voice reminds me of Karen Carpenter, which I've not heard that. People I've heard her compared to Kate Bush, but for me, actually, she's kind of giving Karen Carpenter, who I think is one of the all-time great vocalists, like, of the ages. I don't think anybody has ever sounded sadder.
I know.
While singing happy songs. Like, and it's like Olivia Rodrigo calling her new album, "You Seem So Sad for a Girl So in Love," or whatever it's called. For me, that was Karen Carpenter, kind of like, you sound so sad for a woman who is meant to be so happy. And I think there's a lot of that with Chappell. And obviously, again, the drama. Does she hate children?
Oh my goodness.
Well, me too, Chappell. Yeah, I hear you.
Get the security out.
Like, I'm on the security guy's side. Get away from me. I'm eating my breakfast. Like, we've lived it. So now we're down to my one.
Absolutely, your one.
This is such a cheat because it's supposed to be choosing one. So I chose 7 seasons in one box set. So I chose the ultimate. It's all of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you obviously, if you're a Buffy fan, we're living through heartache at the moment of knowing that the reboot has just been shelved. Again, I'm clearly such a drama queen. I'm almost as invested in the lore of these projects as I am. Although Buffy is timeless, I would not be writing if it weren't for Buffy. I think without any shadow of a doubt, it made me the writer that I am. In lots of ways. But yeah, the drama surrounding the reboot, like, what on earth has happened there? And the thing, we live under this culture of NDAs, so nobody can really, like...
There's a lot of speculation going.
Yeah, and I really think Sarah Michelle Gellar probably broke ranks to release the statement that she did. Like, that's not the done thing in Hollywood to sort of say when something's gone wrong. But I'm fascinated by what's happened. But at the same time, I do think Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a perfect thing. Like, it is one of very few shows that I can think of that has a perfect ending.
Yeah.
Where it ends in a manner that makes narrative sense. It feels complete. And I think my argument is, if the Hulu reboot wasn't good, then maybe I'm glad it hasn't
I mean, it's the
happened.
legacy, isn't it, as well?
Well, because I mean, I think we've reached a point now where I would say on record that my podcast is about Sex and the City. It's called So I Got to Thinking, and we were always quite political when it came to our stance on And Just Like That. But now And Just Like That has finished, I will say that it did slightly sour the original 6-series run. I disliked the Carrie Bradshaw character so much in And Just Like That it's made me revise my feelings about Sex and the City, and it's really hard to separate the two.
I mean, yeah, it goes from like, oh, she's a bit dislikable, and that's kind of a bit of part of it, but also lovable and also relatable.
To cold.
Yeah.
I found And Just Like That Carrie really cold, and I'm mindful of, I don't want to burn bridges for my own career, but that's I got to speak my truth. And so I feel similarly with the Buffy reboot, which is there is a risk. Like when they announced And Just Like That was coming back, I think we were sort of still in lockdown, kind of.
Yeah.
And there was like this real jubilation that we were getting. Well, this is it. We were getting 3/4 of them back, and I wonder if that was when it was doomed. Which is, and as a lifelong Spice Girls fan, I will say this: that it only works when all 5 of them are there.
Yeah.
And so maybe with the Buffy reboot, maybe we've dodged a bullet.
I know.
We don't know.
Say,
we can never know. So it's, which would you rather, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it's so true, especially with Buffy. I feel like you can go back and rewatch it, and it's so much nostalgia and things that let's keep it there, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we have to.
It is a perfect thing. You can still go back and rewatch those 7 seasons until your heart is full. Maybe we don't need a continuation if it's gonna spoil the original.
Exactly. And speaking about a good thing, got my pick here.
Oh, what could it be?
I wonder. Here it is, Survival Show. Oh, it's such a nice cover.
Thank you. Thanks.
Put that there. So let's have a bit of a chat about, so what inspired you? Obviously, you mentioned the girl group sort of thing. What else inspired you for this concept?
Well, I mean, it really is some of its parts, which is Simon and Schuster summoned me and they were like, what would your dream YA novel be? Because I haven't written YA since 2021. My last one came out. And I said, well, my favourite YA book I think of all time is The Hunger Games. I genuinely think, obviously it's become this sort of massive franchise, but in and amongst film adaptations and spin-offs and colouring books, you forget how good that first book was. And that, I think Suzanne Collins would admit, that borrowed heavily from Greek legend, from the Theseus legend. It was huge comparisons to Battle Royale. But I do think there was something about the Katniss character, and what I think Suzanne Collins understood with The Hunger Games was the mechanics of reality television and the way it was going. And so I wanted to sort of take all those things about The Hunger Games, but then mix it with all my experiences of the music industry, of being something of an insider, and having done music journalism and having spent time with industry people. And so, and again, that ultimate thing, which is what makes a great novel great, it's the interactions with the characters. And so I was like, what would it be like to have 10 teenage girls literally singing for their lives? So that's what became Survival Show. So it's about, it's 5 minutes from now. So it's set in a world I think we will all recognise, where 10 desperate girls who have all got their own very personal reasons for entering this murderous reality TV show, where each week all 10 of them have to sing, but each week one of them will be eliminated in a glass pyramid called the Elimination Chamber, where nothing good happens.
Goodness. I mean, I saw people, describing it as X Factor meets the Hunger Games.
Exactly, yeah.
And I mean, who doesn't want to read about that?
Well, I had a blast. I had so much fun. I was really struggling so I did a trilogy about witchcraft that did really well. And I was like, well, how do you follow that? How do you, when something has become so beloved, how do you follow it? And I think the answer is to do something just completely different. So I'm so excited to be writing for a new generation of teenagers. Like the teenagers I wrote for 10 years ago are all in their 20s now. And so, you know, it's my hope that a whole new generation of kind of 13-year-olds who love K-pop and KATSEYE and Little Mix and Flow and all those girl groups will sort of get into it. That's my hope.
Definitely. I mean, I remember growing up and it was Divergent, Hunger Games, all of that, and it's so needed. It's so
Divergent's
needed.
coming back. There's a new Divergent book. Yeah, this autumn.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the sixth faction. So do you know what? Me and my editor, so we cooked up Survivorship 2 years ago, and I was really confident. I was like, I think dystopia is coming back, and I was right. I was
so
right.
glad.
And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I've kind of got in at the beginning. I feel like I've got in at the ground floor when dystopia's on its way back.
Definitely. And I'm sure it'll keep coming, hopefully.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining
Thank you for
us.
having me.
Thanks.